Hey, girl. Hey. So I have a small story.
I love stories.
So as you know, I went back to Statesville this weekend for Mother's Day.
Statesville. A lot of people did. I was seeing Facebook posts about Statesville a lot this weekend.
Well, yes. So I went to the food line. You gotta go to the grocery kitty every once in a while. I had to pick up some beer. So I checked out, and the person behind me, as I was grabbing my stuff, turned around to go, this woman behind me, "Hey, excuse me," talking to the clerk. "Could you wrap this up? I poked my fingernail through the packaging, and I don't want blood get all over my car." I turned around, girl. She had poked her fingernail. It was a long ass fingernail into like 3 pounds of ground beef, and like you could see the fingernail poke through and where it indented the beef. But at least you know she didn't put it back on the shelf. Like, props to her for not putting it back on the shelf.
Yeah, because that's actually oh boy.
Oh my God. And my poor grandmother, she had 2 cooking disasters this weekend.
Your grandmother did?
My grandmother, 2 cooking disasters. Poor thing.
What happened?
Poor thing. Well, number one, she bought really nice looking potatoes for a potato salad.
Mm-hmm.
She accidentally bought creamer potatoes. And they turned into potato salad mush.
Ooh.
She's like, "They were beautiful little yellow potatoes." I'm like, "I know, those are creamer potatoes." She's like, "What Publix they say if they're for mashed or other?" I'm like, "I know. They didn't at the food kitty, and I am so sorry."
They never gonna tell you a food kitty.
Then the other thing she did, she was making her strawberry cake, which is basically a coffee cake with strawberries that's got streusel on top.
Yes.
She was going to make that, but she accidentally, for some reason, pulled out the recipe for a pound cake. So it overflowed and set the oven on fire. I'm like, "Oh, Ma, I'm so sorry."
Wow.
She pulled it out of the oven, like cleaned up, put it back in, and she's like, "I think it's okay." And my mom had a piece from the edge. I was like, "It's fine." So they cut us a piece. I took one bite. I was like, "That's raw flour. That cake's got to go, y'all."
Jeez Louise.
Poor thing. Poor thing.
Why was she cooking anyway? It's Mother's Day. You're the one supposed to be cooking.
Oma likes to make cakes and potato salad. It's like what she likes to make now.
You supposed to be the one doing all the work.
We had bratwurst.
I'm just saying.
My mother's whatever he is, who's back in her life, made that. So
why you gotta say it like that?
Well, because
I ain't gonna talk. We ain't even gonna talk about it because it's still very weird to me.
It was very weird to all of us. Anyway, and then, girl, speaking of soap dish, dear listeners, we were talking about soap dish
during our first podcast.
Well, I was drinking beer with some friends this weekend, and we were talking. Soap dish came up.
That never comes up with my friends.
And a couple of my friends never seen it. Somebody from the table over beside of us was like, "Are you talking about Soap Dish?" Like, "Yes, I love that movie. Have I ever?" And then she turns to her husband, "Have I ever made you watch that?"
Made you watch it?
She's like, "No." "Well, you remember how I made you watch Cry Baby?" Lord,
what, Johnny Depp Cry Baby? That person should have been your best friend, right?
I know, right?
You're my new best friend.
She was just wearing a shirt that said "y'all" on it.
Oh, girl, you should have got her number. That should be your new best friend.
And so as they were leaving, her and her boyfriend or husband made a deal. He was going to make her watch The Human Centipede. She was going to make him watch Soap Dish. I think
that's a fair exchange, actually.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, it's kind of a fair exchange. I mean, technically.
Oh, God.
I say that with my little poster and Soap Dish, like literally, like right.
My VHS in the other room.
it's so hard to get people to understand. Like, it's just,
It's so
such an important
good.
thing. So
Except for a little bit of transphobia at the end, which
a little bit of transphobia.
A little bit of transphobia.
Which at the time it was like that wasn't even a word we used, but now we know.
Now we know.
So dear listeners, we love
listeners.
all of you. We love all of you
We
here at
do.
You Slay Me. However, one of our dear listeners was so kind to send us the nicest note that we're going to read on air.
It is the nicest note that Maim is going to read on air.
Yeah. So this is Liz Johnson. Liz Johnson slid into our DMs,
Ooh,
which all of
like
you can all do that. You can all slide into our DMs if you want and say
just
nice things to us, right? So this is what she wrote, and it's really quite sweet. I only read a portion of it during our first one, so I'm going to read the whole thing this time. So it's just, hello, Miss Mims and Auntie Maim.
Hi.
I just wanted to let you know that I love your Murder, She Wrote podcast. This is my all-time favorite show, and you guys crack me up. My name is Liz, and I'm from Wisconsin. And when I heard that your husband was from Wisconsin, I got a little excited. So I watch an episode, and then I listen to you when I can. So keep on doing this podcast, and I'll keep listening. It gives me a chance to revisit the show since I haven't in a while. I just finished. This is such a good one. I just finished with We're Off to Kill the Wizard, and a little trivia for you if you weren't aware, but the actor that plays the boy Billy is Joaquin Phoenix.
What?
Yeah, right. Anyway, keep up the wonderful content and have a splendid day. Thank you, Liz Johnson. We really appreciate this. So nice.
And yes, thank you. That's very nice and very sweet. And we will keep doing this as long as we remember to.
And you know what's really funny though? So I can say this now. Like, we're both talking about it. It was hilarious because when she requested, like when she did like the little request thing, what she doesn't know is that we went to school with a girl that was named Liz Johnson. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, is that Liz? And then I went and like, oh wait, this is a completely new Liz Johnson. And I was like, it made me so excited because I'm like, oh, this is even nicer. Because it wasn't coming from like an old friend. It's coming from like a complete stranger that doesn't really know us. So good on you, Liz Johnson. Good on you for making these drag queens feel good today.
You know what? Speaking of making drag queens feel good today,
Poppers?
Did you know we have a Patreon?
Oh.
That's exactly what we need. Mims and Maim theme poppers.
Oh, man, if we could get a poppers endorsement, I would totally
So before I go into the Patreon, let me tell you about poppers. I have done poppers this many times in my life. That would be a 1, dear listeners. And it was by accident.
What?
I went into and I didn't even really, do them. I went into the coffee shop. I was over 18 at this point, so it was okay. Oh, and the owner of the coffee shop in Statesville had talked about poppers before. And so he came out. He apparently brought some for me to try just to see what they felt like, and like rushed at me with them. And I was like, what is this? And I got a whiff. Girl, that headache afterwards. No, ma'am. I do not.
That's why it's difficult for me to go to Ramrod or the Eagle on the weekend because so many people are doing poppers constantly that you can almost like not breathe in certain parts of the bar.
Well, speaking of not breathing in certain parts of the bar, we do have a Patreon.
Yes, we do.
Patreon.com.
Lack of oxygen.
/Mims and Maim. Feel free to throw us some money. Speaking of complete lack of oxygen, did you know we have another podcast?
Shut up.
It's called Baking Sugar. It's a Designing Women podcast.
What?
And since we are the self-titled
Queens of Camp TV.
Is it TV or television? I think TV.
I think TV is better.
TV's rings. It's a Designing Women podcast. Follow us over there. We're about 3 seasons in, which means we've only got 3 seasons left. Wow, that one's going to be over sooner rather than later, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God. Wow.
Like I said, that's why I was lining up the next one. Soon we'll be making.
Are you singing the Love Boat theme?
Yes.
Oh my God, that thing went on forever.
It was. It's 10 seasons.
My fucking God, could you pick something short? Like, could we do like?
Are you making fun of my height right now? Are you making fun of my diminished height? Is that what's happening just now? Wow, that's not
I'm
very
making
cool.
fun of your diminished personality, not your diminished talent.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Wow. I'm not. I don't really appreciate.
This is season 1, episode 19. Footnote to murder. So we're in New York City.
New York City.
And we're in a diner.
Is that commercial still around? Is that a thing still? Or that,
Nah,
is that...
it's not.
Darn. That's a great commercial.
It was a great commercial. Pace picante sauce.
Pace picante, y'all.
Have you had pace picante recently?
I can't remember the last time I had salsa, to be very honest with you.
Do you not eat Mexican food?
I do, but it doesn't normally have salsa on it.
What?
What is it? No, it's like what do you call it? It's the place that I get Mexican food from. They just do like a pico de gallo kind of thing. Like they don't really do like salsa.
Do they not have a little salsa bar in it?
I
Sure, some of the taquerias have salsa bars in there.
I mean, I haven't been inside of a restaurant in a long time. So.
Really? Oh, I'm doing that again.
The only one that we go inside of is Marumi, the sushi place. That's the only place we really ever go because they don't do delivery.
Okay. Yeah. God, let me just tell you, DoorDash, Grubhub.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It really is. Instacart.
Yep. But there is going to be a place. There's a place that's opening really close to our house now called Taco Craft.
Okay.
And I would like to go inside because they're starting to spring up all over South Florida.
Is it Stark Fruza Balk?
Oh gosh. Oh, could you imagine her showing up to give you your order and you're like, "Hi, Fruza Balk, what are you?"
But she's just on her tiptoes handing you the order.
Like, what are you?
I don't know if you know this. The Craft is one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, I think it should be every '90s homosexual teen's favorite movie.
True. So the man of the diner is writing.
Yes.
And
one of those that guys of the 80s.
And he is that guy. And he's got so many half-smoked cigarettes in the ashtray in front of him. Like, this man, I think he takes a puff and puts it out.
Yeah. I think it's just for him to have the experience. I think that informs his writing.
Maim, there's a gun.
What?
It's just a lighter.
Oh.
And we find out, JB shows out, and we find out his name is Horace.
Yes.
Let me just tell you right now, Horace is one of my favorite characters in this show ever. Like, he is.
Yep.
But dear
honestly,
listeners,
I love him in everything he would guest star in 80s shows. I always love when that guy showed up because he's naturally just a kind of a funny actor.
Dear listeners, this may be my favorite episode so far of this show, by the way. I'm throwing that out there now.
What?
It is
more than the Black History episode?
It is so funny. The Black History. I'm just letting that one slide. Well, we found out
that's what I'm going to call an episode always. Because there's really not a better way to describe it.
Who knows, girl? Maybe in a February later on, there actually is a Black History episode.
In Maine, girl. In Maine.
She ain't been in Maine in a minute.
She hasn't. She did a lot more traveling as this season's going on.
So we find out they're both nominated for awards.
Like literary book awards.
And we also found out that Horace got around in Cabot Cove last time he was up there.
I mean, I don't see it, but okay.
I mean,
I guess it's his words. You know, some of the men, they have a way with words.
And his way with words is... I'm going to stop there.
I mean, he was doing... we got to see a little bit of exhibit later, right? Because he's talking to that one lady.
A.
She was literally having an orgasm.
Maybe he's got a really big exhibit.
She was literally having an orgasm with him just quoting some poetry. I was like, girl, you are very good at faking it. Like, very, very good.
Is this the time when Harry met Sally?
This is the TV equivalency.
Like, I will say, so I'm not a huge Billy Crystal fan because I don't think he's funny. But when Harry Met Sally is good. Like, do you not like When Harry Met Sally?
There's so many Billy Crystal movies that I've liked a lot, right? Like I love
what? Analyze That?
I like Analyze This.
Yeah, did you like Analyze That?
I never watched it.
It's not good. City Slickers?
I like the first City Slickers.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Monsters Inc.
What's wrong with Monsters Inc?
The Billy Crystal's in it. That's what's wrong with it. Yeah, it's Billy Crystal's not funny.
I did not realize that you disliked him that much.
I do. And I don't dislike him. I don't dislike him as much as I dislike Paul Reiser.
I mean, it's Paul Reiser. It's Paul Reiser.
Poor Helen Hunt having to be married with him for all those seasons.
What happened to that reboot they were going to do? Weren't they going to do a reboot or something like that?
It lasted, and then it didn't.
Oh, okay.
Just like the Perfect
Tale
Man.
as old as time.
Song as old as rhyme. Beauty and the Beast.
Which one was the Beast? I wonder.
Probably Hank Azaria. Anyway.
Oh.
Took him too long to realize Apu was racist, didn't it?
So
anyway.
Somehow we all knew, except for him. Everybody knew.
Oh, God. So, they're on their way to a reception. It starts raining, but
Correct.
Horace luckily has the umbrella.
Yes.
Of death. So,
oh, by the way, can we? I forgot to ask your opinion on this. What was your opinion on the gentleman that was roller skating in the rain at the very beginning of the episode?
it was the 80s. Like,
I was like, what is happening?
it was the 80s, but roller skates with the bicycles of the 80s.
Oh my gosh. He was in a full suit too.
I did not see that part.
Yes.
God.
There was
Xanadu just let out. They had to get.
it was so random that like it took me a minute to focus on like his character because I was like, what did I just see?
What's the Pee Wee Herman reference?
Oh, I guess it could have been.
This would have been a little bit too early for Pee Wee Herman, though. But
Pee Wee was our murder victim last night at Improv during our interrogation. Actually, so it's weird that you said that.
Pee Wee Herman.
We have a game called Pee Wee Herman. We have a game called Interrogation where you have to guess who killed a B or C-list celebrity.
Okay.
So yeah, he ended up being our choice, or not our choice. The audience picked him, that was pretty fun.
Okay. So we're now in a home.
Not a home, not like a nursing home.
Just someone's home. Girl, we're probably the Southerners are probably the only people who call an old home a place that we send old people. So we're in an apartment, and someone sees an article for the Gotham Book Reviews and gets very angry.
Very angry.
Now we're in another apartment, and we meet Tiffany. You know, one of those
so weird.
One of those good names like Tiffany or Shannon.
It's like, what a strange aligning of things this week with our shows.
And she's the awards coordinator for the literary awards that's getting ready to happen.
Yes, wearing a very tight sweater. And
we meet Mr. Post, who's the master of ceremonies. His first name is Helmsley.
Mm-hmm.
Helmsley, we find out, has a new manuscript that's the definitive novel on Vietnam.
Yes.
He offers to have Tiffany come back later to read it with him because nobody's seen it, not even the publisher.
Tiffany's resistant at first.
Yeah.
She's actually uncomfortable because he's kind of rapey.
He's a little rapey, yeah, just a little rapey. But then she's like, "Oh, a new book? Yeah, I'll go back. Whatever. God, do what you gotta do. It's the '80s.
Gotta do what you gotta do, girl."
And then there's a knock at the door, and Mrs. Post, Alexis Post, shows up. Who, dear listeners, she has a special place in my heart because she's Dr. Pulaski from Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 2 with that perfect blonde perm. She was also in the original Star Trek, and she was in LA Law. Like, this woman is that woman. Like,
that lady of the 80s.
That lady of the 80s who has that voice, that raspy, deep voice that can command a scene. She's eating it up. Like, she's eating this shit up.
Oh, yeah. No, she's having a good time playing this part.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tiffany's like, deuces, and she leaves.
I gotta go. Sorry.
And Alexis asks for 1 RuPaul's Drag Race winnings, $264,000 for a loan repayment. What?
Because it took me a minute to realize what you were saying. Oh, that's right. That's how much that was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So she has a new we found out she's a fashion designer and she's got a new fashion line.
Yes.
I said the blue. I can't wait for that. And she knows that Helmsley got an advance, and she wants the loan payment out of the advance. Otherwise, her lawyers are going to squeeze him drier than a camel's backside, whatever that means.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know really what that means overall, considering, I would think it would be a little bit moist, a little bit moist,
just a little bit. Anyway, we're at a party now, and Mr. Winslow, who's gay fabulous, he is fabulous.
It took me a long time to realize who that was, and when I
that?
did, you didn't realize who that was?
No, who is that?
Honey, that was Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch. That was Mr. Brady Handy. Looking like Mrs. Brady. Yes, ma'am. Well, I was like, why does this gentleman look so familiar? I was like, the character, I was like, I don't know this person, but I was like, this guy seems so familiar, and I couldn't figure out why. And I looked it up, and I was like, this is also like when Mr. Brady started being a little bit more comfortable with himself as well.
He's real comfortable with himself. So a little lady in some glasses comes up. She'd like to get an autograph. She really likes the writers. And Mr. Winslow, would you please read my manuscript?
I'm sorry, darling. I'm not allowed to do any unsolicited reading of manuscripts.
So now we pan over to a bathroom, and Helmsley's washing his hands. Out, damn spot, out, I say once, twice, 3 times tomorrow. And he's being confronted by the dude from earlier who we saw very angry in the house.
He's still very angry.
His name is Frank Lipinski.
Not Tara's father.
Oh my God, Tara Lipinski. He did look like a skate dancer.
A skating coach.
An ice skater. There we go. A skate dancer. What is that? God, girl. I've driven halfway across North Carolina and back in the past 2 days.
We need a shirt that says he looks like a skate dancer.
He looks like a skate dancer. Oh, God. So Frank gets violent.
So violent, Frank.
And he's like, the dude calls for security. Security!
I
I
knew
got
you'd
a
go
complicated order.
I knew you were going to that.
Oh, bad TV. Bad TV. The Whitney Houston. Bobby!
Bobby! Oh, I do that at karaoke every time somebody's named Bobby. Every time, whether they get the joke or not. It's for me and for Carlos. And so that's all it is. I don't care about nobody else. Bobby!
When she asked Bobby to skin Bjork to get the goose thing off of her. God. Anyway. The security guard gets beaten up and Frank leaves. Like, that's the worst security guard ever.
Well, I mean, Frank was quite tough, though. I mean, he
was.
Frank was just like boom,
he may
boom,
work
boom.
at the Brooklyn docks.
Oh,
are there docks in Brooklyn?
Those dock workers are.
Yeah,
there are docks in Brooklyn. There were back then, at least. That's where the IKEA is now.
Do you know how the dock workers are? Have you ever had them rough hands? Anyway, so
Lord, not me, honey. I'm a lady. Besides, the docks in Brooklyn, that's where IKEA is now.
Yeah. Like, do you go to the docks of Miami?
Sometimes.
Fort Lauderdale?
Sometimes. Yeah, I've been there before. I have. I've been there before.
I've never seen docks.
Well, they're not docks so much as they're just like,
Oh, wait, I take that back. I've seen the Charleston docks. Wait, this conversation is going off the rails. Let's get back to this.
Way off the rails.
So we're now back at the hotel.
Sorry, everyone.
And JB's walking there.
Docks. You're always getting obsessed with docks.
And JB's walking through, and that same woman, my name's Debbie Delancey.
What a great name. That's a wonderful name.
JB, could I have your autograph? Here's a manuscript. Could you please read it?
Oh, my dear, I'm so very busy. I mean, but you know, I'm going to just take this. I'll read this. Thank you.
Then Horace is like, can we get myself a drink? I'm gonna get drunk.
Horace is the dude. Oh
yes.
Man, I love Horace.
Yes. And now we're inside the reception, and we meet the author of Women Unleashed. And then, like, she's chatting with some people. She's a beautiful blonde woman. We get to her name a little bit later on. And then her. Tiffany Horace offers a drink to Tiffany. And Tiffany's like, I'm in publishing. And JB introduced herself to her and introduced Horace to her. And she's like, oh, publishers have all the power while writers starve. And she hands the drink that Horace just hands to her right back to him. Yes.
I love it. I would love to have for the two of them to just have gone off on their own adventures together.
Mm-hmm. Well, Helmsley's going on and on about his old book, which is the definitive work on the Korean War, right?
Yes.
And Winslow, whose name is Adrian, and Helmsley get into a little homo fight.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I got a little bisexual vibes from Helmsley.
A little bit. Back and forth. A little bit. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Adrian kind of alludes that a little bit later, but we'll get to that. And Adrian says, yes, you may have used to been able to beat me, but now I have a black belt.
Yes. Yes, he says.
That only black belt that queen has is the one that goes with his white dress.
I thought he just meant the black belt that, that was his top. So I don't think he meant himself, girl.
Well, Horace is now flirting with Lucinda. That's the one who wrote that book we were talking about earlier.
Where she's all moaning and groaning.
She is eating it. Oop.
Moaning and groaning and carrying on in the strangest way.
Horace.
Oh, every word. Well,
Helmsley comes over to break in, and Horace is being a smartass back to him, and then he gets hit by Helmsley.
Mm-hmm.
And JB's like, quit acting like kids. This is, in fact, toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then, they just magically drop all. They don't.
Yep.
They don't.
Nope. What's the next morning, girl?
Oh, hey, good morning, sunshine. The
And
earth is-
JB decides to go up to a hotel room
Yes, which is very
because
unusual
she's
for her.
looking for Helmsley to return his umbrella. You can stand under my umbrella, Ella,
Ella,
hey,
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 hey.
hey.
I hate that song. I love Rihanna, but Umbrella is yeah.
No.
I really hate that song.
It's such a good song.
Helmsley's dead.
Dun dun dun.
An umbrella sword killed him
Oh,
right through the
no.
stomach.
Oh, not through the stomach.
Through the stomach.
Oh no. Helmsley, that's so sad.
We meet the DA, who is something Comstock. What is it?
Something Comstock.
Melving? Mel Comstock. Well, just girl, I can't read my writing. Melroy.
The Comstock dude is so strange to me. Like,
yes.
this is like I definitely of all of the, I guess, like police level people that she's ever dealt with, this is without question the weirdest one.
Yeah. No. The weirdest one was the other New York one who was into eating all of the like carrots.
Yeah, but this guy was like, but no, like this one's got this weird kind of like, it's almost like he's trying to like stay, like be famous.
Yeah.
So it's like every little thing he's like calling somebody to like get, it was just a very weird character.
Well, Lieutenant Meyer is helping as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the manuscript, girl, the manuscript, is
manuscript.
gonzo.
Oh no.
Yeah. They found a key. So JB's, poking around everywhere as she does. She finds a key to 2441 under the bed, which is interesting because this hotel does not have a 24th floor.
Whoa.
She finds lipstick on the sheet. She finds a copy of Woman Unleashed signed the night before.
Wow.
And she finds a pair of reading glasses.
Oh boy. That's a lot of things.
And so then she wanders over to a desk and finds a letter threatening post. The letter is from Frank Lipinski.
He's got to be the killer.
So the DA is shooing JB out and puts the glasses that were found in there in JB's purse and hands her purse and kicks her out.
Everybody just, I love how she just blends in and out of all of these situations. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. So now we're at the DA's office and we find out the umbrella is Horace's.
Oh boy. Oh, Horace,
Yeah.
what have you done?
Yeah. When asked what Horace was doing last night, he's like, I got drunk at the hotel bar. And that's pretty much it.
It's like Pinky and the Brain. Same thing I do every night.
Exactly. We find out that the room key was Tiffany's.
Oh, jeez.
So Tiffany comes in for an interview because let's just interview everybody at the same time, right?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's
just like
move this
save some
plot
time.
along.
Just save some time.
She arranged to meet Horace at her room to read the manuscript. He never showed, and she went to dinner with Winslow. So she has an alibi.
Yep. So it can't be Tiffany. Dang it.
And so then the DA's like, well, did you kill him or not, Horace? And he's like, oh, I was drunk.
I was drunk. Oh. I mean, you would think he would just take a minute, right? Like,
Right.
Dig deep, Horace. Like,
Right.
your life's on the line. Dig a little deeper, can you?
And so the DA's like, book him, murder one.
Which was wild to me when he did that.
Yep. And like, he gets on the phone with the press, the New York Post, and JB is telling him off as he's talking to the press. It is fantastic.
It was so weird. So weird. That part was so strange to me.
So then there's some comedy as Horace is taken to be processed. He gets in he gets on the elevator as JB goes up to Meyer and is like explaining herself. Mm-hmm. The elevator closed with Horace on it. Horace goes downstairs, gets in line with a cop who won't let him leave. Then finally, it's a prostitute line.
Yeah,
there's a prostitute who's coming on to Horace as they're in line. The judge doesn't like to see the Johns, so he sends all the men home and only takes the prostitutes.
Which, let's be real clear here.
Uh-huh.
This was a very progressive thing to put out there, that the judge basically just sends all of the men home, even though they broke the law. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing, Jessica. I see what you're doing. Got a little bit of
Yep. So as the DA's on the phone with the Post, it says, we got him. The lieutenant comes in and says, we don't got him.
Yes. What do you mean you don't got him? It's got to be this guy. You got to have him. I just sent him with you. What do you mean?
So JB tries to find Horace. She starts leaving messages at the hotels like, yo. If Horace comes there, tell him to stay low, don't drink, and call me.
Oh, I would have really appreciated Jessica literally using the word yo. That would have been perfect in this episode.
So she finds Tiffany downstairs, and we find out that Tiffany wears contacts.
Yes.
Clue. Tiffany tells her about Alexis.
Alexis. Sorry, I had a little dynasty moment there.
So we're now at Alexis' office, and we're walking through as people are styling these mannequins. And she turns to one. Daryl, I said the blue taffeta instead of the purple taffeta.
No one ever says blue taffeta.
No one ever. Well, she did.
That explains a lot.
Was that even taffeta?
No,
they were put. Okay, I didn't think so. I didn't. It looks silky. So I was like, "What?"
Nutmeg ganache, honey. Nutmeg ganache.
God.
Yes, yes.
She's somebody who I thought I'd forget about again.
Never. That's not how work. That's not how life works.
So we find out in her interview that Helmsley hasn't been able to write in years.
What?
And writing wasn't the only thing he was burnt out on, but he still tried.
Oh, wow.
Like the sex is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
It didn't matter how young or how old, he would always try because he always had to be in power.
Oh, jeez.
He was gross.
He was super gross.
He was gross.
And it stinks because I really like that. You know, sometimes when you're like an actor plays a character, it can kind of like my brain, I thought, man, I've not seen him play a character this gross before. He's usually kind of like a harmless kind of character.
Yep. Alexis like, I didn't do it. You know, I just wanted the money. I didn't, and I would have gotten the money regardless because my lawyers are good. I don't want to deal with this.
I could have gotten the money, however.
So we're at the hotel, and Horace is there.
Yay!
And JB's like, you're a fugitive. We have to go now.
What? No, I'm not. They said I can go.
And Lucinda is being interviewed now.
Oh, boy.
And JB busts in with Horace. And Lucinda, we find out, was with Horace that night.
Yeah, Lucinda. He was reading sonnets to that, lady part.
What?
I don't know. I'm just being stupid.
Reading sonnets to that lady part.
Yeah.
Dearest lady part.
I don't know where to go from there. I don't really know. I don't know really what to say to lady parts.
To quote Ilsa, let it go. Let it go.
Oh, jeez.
Helmsley, Horace wishes he could remember that because he really wants to remember.
I loved it. He was like, why do I not remember this?
So JB tells him to stay sober. They're in a cab going home. Mm-hmm. She's like, stay sober. I need to go to Brooklyn.
Which, who doesn't?
Yeah, so they're in Brooklyn, and JB approaches Frank Lipinski. He's like, I love your books. They're a little weak, but they're fun. She's like, well, I never claimed to be Dostoevsky.
Yeah.
So Frank claims not to know Post.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts grilling about the Vietnam War, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he walks away in a huff. Well, another coworker basically says, hey, he's got a book about Vietnam.
What? That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So it's all starting to make sense to JB slowly.
It's all coming back to me now.
So she has to get to a phone booth to call a cab, and she opens up her purse and she finds the glasses from earlier. She's like, I wonder what Helmsley was reading.
Ooh.
Puts the glasses back. She calls the DA, tell him about Frank, and then obviously Frank did it, right?
It's right, because Frank had to do it, right? It's actually what Jessica found contributed to Frank doing it.
So now we're at a bookstore, and it's Adrian Winslow's doing a book signing, and if you look behind him, there is him with a permanent, the biggest permanent ever. He looks like Barry fucking Gibb, is what he looks like in that poster. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. What's even funnier is that if you look even closer, right beside his head are 1980s issues of Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine, which I was like,
you noticed that
did he do this on purpose? Did he do this on purpose?
Yes, they did.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he says, well, Tiffany didn't have dinner with me.
What?
No, she didn't. And then he spills the tea. Alexis was even jealous of me and Helmsley.
What?
Yeah, and he tells her some other stuff that's not really that important. Then somebody comes up to get a inscription from Winslow and has the longest thing.
She's
that
great.
She wants put in there. Yeah,
you could tell that character actress was loving this moment.
So we're now at the hotel. Hey, JB, have you had a chance to read my story yet? No, not yet. I've had a little bit to do. Okay, well, if you get a chance to read it. Yes, and I'll call you when I do. Okay? Fine. Jesus. So now we're at Tiffany's room, and JB just barges in as she does. Tiffany's got a manuscript. She puts it in the desk drawer so that nobody can see it.
That's very suspicious.
Mm-hmm. So JB confronts her about the dinner and Tiff and the manuscript, and she's basically like, well, this manuscript is autobiography about somebody, a Hollywood starlet who wants to do a tell-all. And last night when Helmsley didn't show up, she just took a couple of sleeping pills and passed the fuck out.
A likely story.
It actually is very likely.
No, it's actually super likely.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah. So now we're at Lipinski's, and the cops show up, and they try to arrest him, but he runs. But you better watch out. He may have a gun. That's repeated 3 times.
Yeah.
So he throws something into a briefcase, closes the briefcase, and runs from the cops. He's going down the fire escape very slowly, and the cops surround him, and they take the briefcase from him. It says Helmsley on it. They open it. His manuscript is inside, and Frank is like, "I did it. I killed Helmsley."
This is the end of the show, right? You didn't do the theme song. Why didn't you do the theme song?
No, there's more. There's more.
Oh, okay.
Because notice Frank did not have that voice.
Oh, you're right. Oh, did you? Caught it.
Oh, you finally figured out that's why I do that voice. It only took you 20 some odd episodes.
I already knew. I'm just doing it for the gig, for the gag.
For the gag of the gig. The gag. The gag. The gig. The Gattaca.
Get that. straight people are like, what just happened?
I just vogued and I'm not good at it.
Hands.
And split. Flap.
Flap.
Death drop. Boom.
Oh, he died.
Oh wait, he's got his foot's back up. His foot's back up.
There we go. Oh, that's 10s across the board.
Oh God. Those 10s have little negative signs in front of them.
Oh, I missed that part.
We're in a cab, and JB's like, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
She refuses to believe it. She Interesting.
And then she finds a glass in her purse, and she hands them to Horace. And Horace is like, I don't think these are Helmsleys. I think he would wear something more macho. And then it clicks with JB. She stops the cab because she sees an optometrist, and she gets out and throws Horace some money. And Horace is like, is there a saloon around here?
Oh, Horace, never change.
So at the optometrist, the optometrist's like, this is not your prescription. She's like, no, I didn't think so. Could you take these lenses and mount them in different frames?
Which, if I had been the optometrist, I would have been like, what?
Yeah.
But no, that's what she says.
So then she goes to meet Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about Debbie's manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
And JB's like, oh, I left my glasses upstairs. I wrote some notes about it back here, but I need some glasses. May I borrow your glasses?
Oh, well, sure.
Sure, I guess so. Here you go. So she hands her glasses, and JB, has them fall into her lap and switches the glasses, puts them on, and starts reading and go, oh, well, this is no help. Hands the glasses back to her. They talk about the story, and JB's like, isn't your brother's name Frank? And isn't your last name Lapinski?
What?
And then she's like, what's going on? Oh my God. And then so JB's like, your brother's in jail right now, girl, for murder.
He's what?
And then we get the story of how I didn't mean to kill him. He tried to rape me, so I just stabbed him in the stomach. I mean,
let's be very clear too, just for our listeners at home that haven't watched this episode yet. That's literally what happened.
Yeah, that's literally what happened, right? But we also found that Frank sent the novel to Post to read, which you should never do. No. And she went to discuss this with him. He got frisky. She stabbed him in the stomach. And JB's
by frisky, we mean he tried to rape her.
JB's like, go to the police. Just go. They'll understand. A jury will let you off.
Which is amazing. When she just said that to her, I was genuinely like, I got caught in my throat. I'm like, how is she going to just say that?
I don't know. So the button is, Horace and JB both won awards. Horace just walked off stage during his acceptance speech to go get a drink.
Yep.
And so he goes to a little shop outside, and JB's like, well, you need to quit drinking. Horace pulls out his gun lighter, and the attendant screams and hits the alarm, and JB's like, well, maybe you should stop smoking too. Well, Maim, did you enjoy this episode?
Of course I did.
Okay, yeah, like
we already have arrived at almost every time.
We have arrived.
Almost every time you ask me that question.
I know. Well, last time I didn't ask you that question. You asked, well, what are you going to ask me that question? You're like, well, so I asked, you're like, of course I did. So I'm just going to keep on asking you the fucking question.
Wow. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel personally attacked? Because you should.
I do, actually.
Okay, good. Then I did my job.
You did. For once. For once. That's that executive fish again. Executive fish up in here.
Executive fish. Oh my God, girl! Why don't you tell these people where they can find you?
Hello, dear people. I'm your
Hi.
Auntie Maim. For those that are listening to us, like our wonderful friend Liz Johnson that we spoke earlier today, if you'd like to follow us on our socials, you can find me at auntie.maim. That's MAIM on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram at Mims and Maim. You can also follow me on Twitter at Maim Ministry. And if you just happen to be down in South Florida for vacations or on a conference or things like that, you can come see me doing various shows. So I host a weekly Amazing Colossal Karaoke at Kill Your Idol on Miami Beach. It's a hybrid show of karaoke and cabaret. You can see me doing improvised comedy at the Villain Theater, which you can find out more information at villaintheater.com. And you can find me hosting a stand-up show in Fort Lauderdale at a bar called Lit. It's called Laughs at Lit. And but if you follow me on the social medias, you'll be able to see me posting about all of that stuff. So what about you, my dear friend Mims?
Oh, I'm here. I'm the Divinemissmims. You can find me on Twitter at Divinemissmims. You can find this podcast on Twitter at You Slay Me Pod. Hey, Maim, we have a Patreon.
What?
Dear listeners, you can throw us some money at patreon.com/Mims and Maim. Maim, we have another Pudicastica.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what word that was.
Where do we have all this time
We
to do all
don't.
this?
Anyway, dear listeners, it's called Baking Sugar. You can find it on Twitter at Baking Sugar Pod, or get it wherever you get your podcasts, Googles, Facebooks. It's all over the place. Anyway. Oh, my God. Well, Maim, do you have anything else to add?
I'm hungry.
Well, me too. Say goodnight, Maim.
Good night, Maim.
Bye, y'all.